Justin Trudeau now says he wants to extend an olive branch to provinces like Alberta and Saskatchewan. He says he wants to bring out a peace offering for Western provinces who are talking about separation, Wexit, Alberta separation. You see it trending on social media. Well, here's an idea, in fact, two ideas of things Justin Trudeau can do that even if he does only one of them, they'll go a long way to meeting that goal. The first one, scrap the carbon tax. That's right, the carbon tax is one of those things that is deeply controversial. Really, the country is divided, provinces are divided, political parties are divided on it. We've got 3 provinces heading to court right now on this, and they should not be blamed for this being this acrimonious, because they were just doing their own thing when it was the federal government that came in and said, we are going to force this upon you. We don't like what you're doing, even though we've previously acknowledged that it is the domain of the provincial government, so we're going to stick our fingers in the pie and tell you how it's done. Justin Trudeau can walk this back. Doug Ford and others have said, we're going to take this all the way up to the Supreme Court of Canada. Well, you know what? The federal government can just ghost away. They can step out of the battle and say, we're not going to fight this anymore. We're going to let this thing go gently. Now, do I think that's going to happen? No, I don't, because when Justin Trudeau gave his speech about trying to bring in disaffected parts of the country after his election pseudo-victory the other night, where he was downgraded from a majority to a minority, he said the 2 most important things for Canadians were affordability and climate change. Well, actually, he didn't say it in that order. He said climate change and affordability. And he said it about 10 times over like a mantra during that media availability on Wednesday. I'm not sure if you can say that when the whole point of that press conference was supposed to be to address some of the frustrations people had out west. He just kept going on about climate change ad nauseum. Stop doing that. Stop doing things like the carbon tax, and that'll go a long way to dealing with some of those frustrations that are felt out west. Now, we also know that Gerald Butts is a true believer on this file, as is Catherine McKenna. Justin Trudeau, maybe he got it from them, maybe he got it independently of them. He's sort of a part of that, a trifecta of 3 people at the top who are very serious about this. I don't expect it to happen, but I think the onus should be on him. The question shouldn't be, why is Doug Ford being so difficult? Why are Jason Kenney and Scott Moe going along with the legal challenge? They're not the ones to blame here. They were the ones who had this happen to them, and they are now responding to it. The onus is on Justin Trudeau to answer why he is not actually withdrawing the carbon tax, because the carbon tax is a thing that you can really only get away with when you have a majority, and he doesn't have it anymore. Speaking of that, there's another piece of legislation that you definitely can't get away with if you don't have a majority, and that's Bill C-69, the controversial piece of legislation that is really going to tie the hands of the oil and gas sector, and a lot of experts in the industry will basically tell you it makes it impossible for them to get any substantial new projects ever really built in Canada. The way it expands the scope of the assessment processes to bring up a whole bunch of new roadblocks for this. Well, when this was in committee and in the Senate, legislators were looking at it and saying, this thing is a mess. And they toured the country and they heard from witnesses and they realized it needed reforms. And they proposed a whole bunch of amendments, and the Liberal government hardly took them up on any of them. While things should be much more difficult to deal with things like this in a minority government situation, and Trudeau just managed to do those processes at the end of his majority, now maybe he should step back and take a look at that legislation and go, perhaps I misstepped on that. Perhaps we can head in a different direction on these files. Look, I know these are far-fetched things to think Trudeau's going to do them because they are true believers on this file, but he says he wants to deal with Western alienation. Well, here are 2 very easy ideas that he can reach for at any moment's notice.